Are you able to, because I still haven't to this moment haven't heard how bad preliminary final build-up and game was with what happened illness-wise. Are you able to give us a quick answer at least on the specifics of some of that right now? Just to at least give us some clarity so we can maybe move on from it.
I must say, like, the thing that has shocked me on reflection is how at some point, given the whole environment, we're in a hub over in Perth, that why I didn't ask the question how they could guarantee that they weren't COVID issues, and fortunately they weren't. I reckon it was about 1 o'clock game day. The game was 6 o'clock, something like that night. When I got the call that Lockie Henderson and Jeremy Cameron were crook as well, and that made whatever it was, 6, 7, 8 players who were going down, why it didn't really occur to me that the game probably shouldn't go on because we couldn't know for sure. And I just trust the doctors implicitly with these things. But again, like, the last thing I want to say is, something that's perceived as us, making excuses.
I don't think anyone saw it that way, though.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And I think it was obvious that you weren't making excuses. We in the media were exploring it and were saying it, but I don't think anyone from the club.
No, I hope not.
And I don't think anyone received it that way.
The stronger point for me is that it just downplays the performance of your opposition, and I think once you actually look back through it, it was a pretty dominant final series. So my superficial assessment of them would be they've been building for 20 years. And when the lid came off, it blew off with a fair bit of steam. So even if we had the personnel on board, I don't think they were playing well enough to beat that Melbourne team.
Can you win the flag in 2022?
Yeah. No, I'm very confident of that. But if you ask the question how many teams can win it, I think that it's never been a bigger group. Look, I can understand why there might be some question marks over us, and I'm not here to argue with them. But going into this season reminds me a little bit of going into my first year. I can sort of draw the parallels there to the enthusiasm I felt then. Certainly the challenges that were really obvious to us as a footy club, and there are some similarities there. Obviously, there are differences as well, but just in terms of where we are, it's not necessarily going to be easy for us, but there really seems a sense around the place that there's a bit to be optimistic about as well.
Yep. Talking about the transition and the change, how does it look specifically for Joel Selwood going into season number 16?
Yeah, I actually spoke to him 5 minutes ago, and we're both really optimistic about what he can do this year. He'll be our captain.
Was there a question about that? Was there a conversation around
No, well, the conversations that we have internally at the club are around succession planning and those sort of things, but it's more how are we going to go about that as opposed to that being anything pressing. I think we've got the best captain in the comp. I'm biased, obviously, and so that makes it pretty simple for me. What will change and where the evolution will come with him, I think, compared to him at his absolute prime as our captain, is, and I think this has been happening for a period of years, we will do everything we can to encourage him not to feel like he needs to do everything, that he needs to think too far outside of his own game to carry the team along. So a little bit of a narrower focus on sort of his role and how he can maximise his strengths. One of the criticisms that I'll be happy to sort of say publicly that we've identified internally is that at our best we've been really positive with the way we've played and have found it easy to score. But at our worst, flicking the switch from being a good defensive team to being able to score a little bit quicker hasn't been good enough. So all the things that sort of flow into getting those outcomes are the things we're working on.